Hey friends! Hope you're all doing super well. Welcome to the second part of me explaining the Five Nights at Freddy's game maps from my experience as a player, and also how I think they would flow if someone were to visit them in real life. While this is a part 2, you certainly do not have to watch part 1 by any means, unless you would like to hear my thoughts on the first 3 games. And speaking of that, I saw your comments, and many of you seem to be wondering why I felt the need to make there be a 2-door setup for the buildings. And to be completely honest with you, I'm not sure actually. I really didn't need to do that, to be honest. I think I just saw the idea of 2 doors in a comment that I showed as the example for the theory, and my brain completely disavowed any other setup at all. But you guys are absolutely right. A 1-door system would work very beautifully for all of these buildings, although I do still stand by my lobby idea for the first game. I did really like that. And in that same vein, some of you guys have also pointed out some things about FNAF 2 that I missed, such as the top rooms being confirmed to be the bathrooms through the camera system, that's what I get for not checking up, and also that this place has no kitchen, like, at all. So, no food for the patrons, and another tough ding for FNAF 2. Not like I'm complaining. Anyway, thank you guys so much for the thoughts and the corrections. I love that you guys feel comfy enough to speak your mind and help me out. More importantly, thank you for being here at all. It truly means the world. I am Respect the Badge, and let's get started on the next games. So, FNAF 4 is kind of a rough place to start. I used it as my cornerstone idea for this video set, and spoke on the weird hallways and the lack of houseness this game has. As many of you have come to say, it absolutely is not a real location. Whether it's purely a nightmare, an experiment by William Afton, or a dying child's mind attempting to grapple with death, we can all come to the agreement that the room and layout that we see in this game is not real, at least not fully. That being said, for this game, I'm going to rely mostly on gameplay. The house shown is abstract to say the least, so there's really no point in critiquing the layout. It doesn't make sense, and it's really not supposed to. With that out of the way, the gameplay, on the other hand, makes perfect sense. Instead of an office, you are in a bedroom that for the first time you are allowed to move around in. This game makes a return of the 2-hallway system as seen in the very first game, with Bonnie on your left door and Chica on your right. Freddy takes a backseat, literally, waiting for his Freddles to summon him while they sit on your bed, which is behind you. Foxy is back to his usual ways of sprinting down the hallways, but this time he does so silently, and he just wants to hang out in your closet and sometimes even be a cute little guy. Aww. Now, back to those doors. Looking down them, you can see that there are 2 overly extended hallways which function just like the first game, giving the players some time to identify the threat without them being directly on top of you the whole time. This map is extraordinarily small, the smallest of the series this far, and it still somehow manages to make everything feel like it's placed correctly, like nothing overlaps or makes a mess of things. There's 1 to your left, 1 to your right, 1 in front of you, and 1 behind you. Extremely simple, extremely effective. When it comes to the gameplay loop, all of the elements I've described, as well as the later nights, which I won't spoil for the 3 of you who've never played it, create for an experience that requires focus and makes juggling everything suspenseful from start to finish. This game also has a mini-game between the nights that allow for starting the next night 2 hours ahead, so if you're struggling, you have a chance to make your life easier, or another way to die violently. There's also a Halloween update that doesn't really change much other than the colors of the animatronics, but I think they're really neat and I wanted to talk about them, so here they are. I really like this game, and if you want to learn more, I highly suggest this video by It's Taken for a very, very in-depth breakdown of the animatronics. Fantastic opening game for this video, and I wish I could talk about it all day, but sadly, I can't. So, Sister Location is a game. It exists, it's part of the series, but unlike the other games, this one is a bit more story-based. In fact, some say too story-based, with every night being a minigame-esque scenario of tasks you have to do in order to go home. This is going to make it ironically the exact opposite of FNAF 4, where the judgment will only come from visiting in real life, as the map's gameplay is just guiding the player from minigame to minigame. This location is also canonically under the FNAF house and is a hub for William Afton's more objective-focused designs for the animatronics. This map has a lot to take in, so let's just start from the beginning. This game starts you in an elevator every night, and you will find very quickly that there are absolutely no doors at all in this warehouse. Only vents. Our favorite oversized vents. And this first vent leads you to the control room, which is a central hub that you enter almost every night, and you can access many of the rooms of the building from here. For some reason, your vital rooms are on the outskirts of the building, like parts and service and the breaker room, which means that you have to go through an animatronics room to get to them, which is just like, what? This is the control module, and you don't have some of the vital controls nearby? Anyway, to your left is Bellora's gallery, and past that, the aforementioned breaker room. Your right houses the Funtime Auditorium, where Foxy lives, and where Freddy should be living, but as you can see, he is found in the parts and service rooms past the auditorium and the ever-popular breaker room. This section also houses the private security room and the scooping room for the animatronics. In front of you lies Circus Baby's gallery, which you can enter the room of, but never actually get to see because of the broken lighting. Now, we can't just judge this map on the movement of the animatronics like in previous entries, because this time around, they don't move at all. The character icons show that they are only in these rooms of the game and cannot leave them at all, or at least not in the normal sense that we're used to. On top of that, this place isn't really meant for visitors, so the only real angle that I can see is to take it from a worker that is there. So let's just try that. Complaint 1, right off the bat. Why are there vents? Why at all? Why can there not just be a simple doorway or a walkway or even a catwalk? I don't know. And this time, I can't even excuse them for gameplay purposes because they literally do nothing ever. So it just feels like they're there to make the game more eerie than functional, which, yes, I know is their actual purpose. Complaint number 2, I already hit on, the vital rooms being on the edges. I don't know about you, but I don't want to play tag with Bellora or Foxy every time I need to do a simple task to make sure the building doesn't shut off the oxygen supply. Complaint number 3, what is up with the lighting and the ambiance and the way this building is built? I would take a half a second to look at this room after that vent crawl, mind you, and say, absolutely not, I choose life. And leave promptly. Complaint number 4, the scooping room's maintenance entrance is shown on the map as the primary one, which you come to find out it very much isn't. The normal entrance is here through parts and service. And one final, absolutely glaring problem for this location: how in God's name do you get the animatronics in and out? If you need to, I don't know, close up shop or move locations, this is a rental warehouse, they're supposed to leave, and there is no way in God's name that someone is going to be dragging them through the vents, so your guess is as good as mine. Alright, enough laying into sister location. This game already got enough critiques from the very beginning, and I don't really like this one, I'm sure many of you don't either, so let's just pretend this one doesn't happen. Agreed? Next on the list is Pizzeria Simulator, and if you haven't noticed by now, we're on a bit of a streak of weird games in terms of the maps. Since FNAF 3, none of the setups have stuck to the original formula of animatronic movement, and this one is certainly no different. So this game actually has 2 different map setups: the daytime map, where you place all of your games and attractions for the customers in the more tycoon-like section, and at this point, it's near impossible to make a concise judgment on the map, as every setup could be a little different based on the playthrough. For these base facts we can gather from playing it, the setup is very similar to FNAF 1 during this section, where all of the guests get to come together in a central room where all of the attractions surround them, and it's pretty hard to go wrong with this formula, so no critiques there. As for the entrances and exits, if the entrance is directly under where the camera is, then it's perfect. The customers come in, are surrounded by attractions, and leave at the same door. Another solid check. Now, bathrooms and a kitchen, on the other hand, that might be a bit of an issue. Considering that this game has put almost no sense of importance into the map other than what's important directly to the player's vision, I'm going to take the headcanon that they are both off to the sides to make myself feel a little better. From there, you enter the office hours, where before I state the obvious, I have a question. So, this is the main room of the map, right? From the day, and this is the office, which the game makes very clear. So, how does the entrance to the building work? We're not really shown a front door, and this map shows that the ducts surround the entire main area, so they have to contradict with the building's anatomy somewhere. And speaking of, guess who's back? Everyone's favorite oversized vents! Now, purely outside of gameplay, why? These big-ass air vents are objectively an awful idea, and they only exist because it gives the animatronics a way to get around the building. And it upsets me, because at this point, it's starting to feel lazy. I'm not saying that I'm going to do better or make a better map, or that Scott needs to go back and redesign every map right this second, but it does begin to feel like back in FNAF 2, he found out that the vents could work as an idea, then progressively went harder and harder on the concept until the vents are literally the entire gameplay loop, except for the lack of them from FNAF 4. I will say that quite a bit of effort was put into the animatronics moving around during this section, and that can be seen in this other video from It's Taken. I can say that I appreciate that this game also allows you to essentially choose your own difficulty, where if you toss the animatronics back outside immediately and have a risk of 0, then there will be objectively no threat at all for the whole game, and you can just breeze through it with no problems. But then, if you want the true ending to see how things really go down, you have to gather all of the animatronics into the building, and that creates an absolute world of issue. This game also has my second least favorite design of Springtrap, and I will never forgive it for that. Also, my least favorite is Burntrap, obviously. And now, for the last of this video, we go on to Ultimate Custom Night. And there is absolutely no way that I can dissect this game fully and give it the time that it deserves, so please just bear with me for the details that I bring to the table now. This game is just a copy-paste of the first game maps, but wait, no, Foxy is here now? Sharing the stage with Bonnie? And wait, Toy Freddy is gaming in the parts closet? So, yeah, as you can see, while the skeletons of the maps are the same, they present themselves very differently. The main differences are the ones that I just pointed out, as well as Cam 7 now having the prize section, as well as there being an integrated vent system and duct system that act as secondary maps for certain animatronics. So before I fully get into things, I would like to cover how it would be if someone actually did visit this place, which sadly no one can, because as in 4, this place is a complete construct. It also isn't canon, so Scott kinda just went ham on this one. For simplicity, we're going to put the singular door, pinky promise, right here, like in the first game. No main stage this time, that being the prize station, like I said. Cam 4, which was the kitchen before, now is where the puppet hangs out, and also is still the kitchen? Question mark? Also, with there being 50 animatronics, I assume that during the day, the customer would just be swarmed with open arms by the various animatronics that hang out in the area and are there to help them. Aside from that, nothing else changes from my thoughts on the Versed video, which you can find right here. Hell yeah, smooth plug. Moving on to the gameplay, this map has the excruciating task of slamming 50 animatronics into a map that only held 4 before. That's why 50/20 was such an insane task in the making, and why it is still so incredibly impressive all these years later. The game takes many steps in alleviating this pain by putting 5 of the animatronics in the vents, all 5 mediocre melodies in the ducts, and quite a few people in the office only, as well as having one-offs such as Toy Freddy being garbage at his own game, and Scrap Trap taking a singular swing throughout the night, and if he fails you never see him again. Phone Guy is also his own character, and characters like Lolbit and Funtime Chica only mess with your systems rather than killing the player itself. With that being said, there is still an absolute mess of characters you have to deal with around the map, and for the crisp price of free $99 on Steam, I recommend you guys give it a try for yourself. And with that, my friends, we have reached the end of this video. Man, this one was a bit of a cluster to make. It was difficult to find angles on most of these games that I enjoyed speaking on, but I hope you enjoyed watching this as much as I did making it, and I'm still absolutely in love with the process of creating these. Thank you all so much for watching, and for the next one, I'm not quite sure that I'm ready to tackle the nightmare that is the Pizzaplex, so I might take a step back from the series and do something a little different, but I guess only time will tell. I have been Respect the Badge, have a great rest of your days, and I will see you all very soon. Bye!